It's a windy, windy morning.
And I don't know if you cut the flagpoles or not, but the flagpoles are shaking. I heard the wind howling through my helmet. Oh my God.
It's so windy that it's one of those days that when you're on the road, you can't tell if there's a car, a truck, or an airplane behind you. It's so windy and noisy.
You know, I feel like I can't even talk right now.
I know, it's with the way the wind is blowing around. Anyway, if this is your first time to our channel, hello, and glad that you had a chance to join us this morning. Later on in this video, I hope to be talking about endurance riding. It's something that Susan and I are starting to do, and we're riding to heart rate zones. That's our method of training for riding further and enjoying our rides even more.
It's so much easier. I mean, I think I mentioned this before on one of your other videos, but it's just you don't focus on the numbers, how fast am I going, how long have I been out here. You just right into your heart rate zone. It's amazing. At the end of the ride, it pays off.
Yeah, it really does. That's the thing that we found, at least the result for us, was that at the end of a 30-mile ride, which is about a 10-mile increase over what we used to do, when we pull into our driveway on our bikes, yeah, we feel like we've been out on a ride, but we don't feel like we've been out killing ourselves. We really enjoy this kind of riding. It's a good riding style for us.
Yeah, and in cold weather, well, it works.
In cold weather, exactly my point. Anyway, thanks for tuning in this morning. Click and subscribe if you like the channel. Share this video with friends on your social networks, and look for new videos coming out again soon. Thanks again for watching today.
See you later.
So I thought today I'd talk a little bit about endurance riding, and specifically riding to heart rate zones rather than power zones, in that Susan and I, neither one of us owns or would buy at this point a power meter. And at one time, heart rate zones or heart rate monitors used to be just fine for training purposes. Our road's a little wet here. I'm going to ride the crown and stay out of the puddles. But when Susan first got into road biking, I was coaching her to ride to power, at least the way I interpreted being able to ride to power without having a heart rate or without having a power meter. And that meant for me keeping your cadence up and try to hit a certain mile per hour average speed. And that kind of worked for us. The only downside was that specifically for Susan, it was a little harder for her to keep up with me, and I felt it was a little unfair to keep riding at a certain pace on my behalf and leaving her to have to catch up and me slow down again. Anyway, that riding style for us, it was kind of getting in the way of something that we ended up being more focused on, which is riding greater distances when we went out. In other words, kind of focusing in on endurance riding. So I saw a couple articles and saw a few videos about endurance riding and staying within heart rate zones to do that. And it seemed like a really good idea for our riding style and our particular needs at the time. So I talked to Susan about it, and we decided to give it a try. So we each have a heart rate monitor, had one anyway, and we each have the same GPS bike computer. And so I set up both of our bike computers to recognize our heart rate zones, and then reconfigured a couple pages on our GPS screens to display that information that we're more interested in working on rather than other metrics. So right now, Susan and I, when we go out, we are trying to ride, keeping in zones 2 and 3, respectively. And by using that, our heart rate monitors and our GPS computers, we can monitor what heart rate zone we're currently in, what our actual heart rate is, what percentage of max our heart rate is currently at, and the time of day. So that's the metrics that we have on our screen. So what that has led to is that we generally have been riding like 25, 20 miles when we go off for a ride. The occasional 30-mile ride. But when we got home, we would both feel it in our legs and feel somewhat exhausted when we pulled into the driveway. But now riding with heart rate monitors and kind of keeping track of what zone we're in, we are finding that we're managing our effort level a lot better, and consequently when we get home, we're certainly a lot less spent, even though we are riding greater distances. But the first couple times we went out and we were riding to the zones, our target was to stay in zone 2 and 3, but both of us were finding that it was staying in zone 2 was kind of hard to do because it was so damn easy. So we kind of promoted ourselves up to staying in zone 3. So right now, I'm currently right in zone 3. My heart rate's 137. But I cannot tell you what my cadence is or what my speed is. But you know what? I'm currently riding right into a headwind, so I can barely hear myself talking. But this is a perfect example of, at least for us, why riding to heart rate zone makes a lot more sense. We got a hell of a headwind blowing at us right now, and if we were trying to maintain 16, 17 mile an hour speed, we would be killing ourselves fighting the wind. So rather than do that, we are managing our heart rates and when we find that we are climbing somewhat, getting into a higher heart rate zone than we would like, or we should be riding in, we just kind of back it down a little bit, do a little recovery, do a little breathing exercise, and just make our ride a hell of a lot more comfortable. Now, I am speaking specifically from the experience that Susan and I have, and what we found really works very well for us. I'm not suggesting to anybody that this is something you should embrace, but if you're riding to power and you got a power meter, God bless you. But for us, we own heart rate monitors and bike computers, so we're able to monitor just how hard or how much effort our bodies are reacting to the sort of workout or training schedule that we're doing. And based on that, we've been able to up our endurance level in a relatively short time. And Susan mentioned earlier, seeing as how it's the middle of winter anyway, and you're all bundled up, and sometimes you get a day like this where the wind's blowing like crazy, it just makes sense to ride to endurance and use a heart rate monitor to do that.
Nice.
Nice.
And nice to be out of the wind.